House. In his speech at the Republican National Convention on Thursday, Trump made sweeping promises to end inflation, redirect infrastructure spending, and impose steep tariffs, but largely avoided policy details and stuck to crowd-pleasing talking points.
We will end the ridiculous and actually incredible waste of taxpayer dollars that is fueling the inflation crisis. They've spent trillions of dollars on things having to do with the Green New Scam. It's a scam. And that's caused tremendous inflationary pressures. Under my plan, incomes will skyrocket, inflation will vanish completely, jobs will come roaring back, and the middle class will prosper like never, ever before, and we're going to do it very rapidly.
Well, joining me now is Chief Economist at Moody's Analytics, Mark Zandi. Okay, Mark, let's dig into this. Trump's America First agenda, which was adopted as the Republican Party's 2024 platform. This includes plans such as a 10% tariff on all imported goods, deporting millions of undocumented workers, and then extending those 2017 tax cuts that were certainly heavily slanted to benefit the wealthy. Moody's, as you know, has a recent study predicting what a Trump win and GOP sweep would mean for the economy. So tell us what you found relative first to Trump's tariffs with a 60% levy on imports from China. How would that affect prices and inflation and the overall economy?
Well, it would add to inflation. I mean, the tariffs are a tax on American consumers, particularly lower middle income consumers who have spent a large share of their budget on the goods that are imported: food, apparel, appliances, consumer electronics, vehicles, that kind of thing. So, and if you're importing, you have to pay that tariff. That adds to the cost of that particular good. So it adds to inflation. So the tariffs, it's certainly a 10% across the board tariff. The former president was talking about 60% tariff on Chinese imports. That would be highly inflationary. It adds significantly to inflation.
And it would also drain people's pocketbooks, right? They'd be paying more for things they're paying for now.
Yeah, it's a tax. It's effectively a tax. So, you know, if I have to pay more for that iPhone, or for that microwave oven, or for that pair of shoes, that means I have less to spend on everything else. So it's just like a tax.
Yeah.
Just the same thing.
Let's tackle Trump's promise to deport millions of undocumented workers. How would that affect the labor force in certain economic sectors, and what kind of ripple effect would that have on the overall economy?
Yeah, it's a lot of people. You know, there's a lot of different estimates, but somewhere between 10, 15 million undocumented immigrants in the country. And of course, we have a very tight labor market. Businesses have been struggling to find workers and retain workers in lots of different industries: agriculture, manufacturing, transportation, distribution, retailing, leisure hospitality, childcare, elder care. You know, these industries are really starved for workers, and they've been relying very heavily on these immigrants from other countries to take those jobs and work. And if they're deported, of course, that makes it very untenable for these businesses. That means costs are going to rise. That means, again, inflation is going to pick up as a result. And it would be highly disruptive. Now, obviously, it depends a lot on how it's actually implemented, how many folks would actually be affected. But, you know, all else being equal, that would also add to inflation.
Well, but even beyond just economically, I mean, this would reduce the ability to even have many of these services, right? I mean, if you don't have the workers, you can't employ them.
Yeah, especially in this economy, right, Alex? I mean, the unemployment rate is 4.1%. That's very low. That's great. I mean, we're at full employment. Everyone has a job, and wage growth is strong. So in that context, if you require millions of folks to leave, then that's a pretty big hole in the economy, right? So things aren't going to get done, and whatever does get done is going to be a lot more costly and a lot more expensive for everybody.
Yeah. And hard to find your babysitter or someone to help with elder care for your parents. Yeah, let me get to the 2017 extension of tax cuts that would increase the deficit, which is already, as you know, at a level that's never before been seen during a period of peace and high employment. So how would the tax cuts affect the middle and the lower middle class households?
Well, the former president's talking about extending the tax cuts for individuals. As you know, they under current law, they expire at the end of next year for everybody: lower middle income, high income households, high net worth households. Also, talking about cutting the corporate tax rate again. So you may recall under his first In his first term, he cut the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21. Now discussion is 21 to 15. And it's not clear how you would pay for that. Now, presumably some of that, the tariffs, the higher tariffs, again, they're like a tax, so they generate revenue for the government, could be used to defray the cost of these tax cuts, but not all of the cost. So you're adding to the budget deficit and adding to the debt load. And again, in an economy that's running full out at full employment, if you add in this kind of juice, it's going to add to inflation. So, you take the tariffs, you take the deportations, you take the tax deficit finance tax cuts, you add that all up, and that means inflation's going up. It's not going down.
Okay. Mark Zandi, I always have questions for you, so come see me again. Many thanks.
Thank you.
That's good.